Okay, so yes, this video will go over kind of some of the amendments, some of the important ones, and like civic responsibility, I guess you could say. So obviously we got to cover the Bill of Rights. So these are amendments 1 through 10. 1 to 10. Okay, so the First Amendment, everyone's favorite, is the right to free speech, religion, so and whatnot. Also, petition the government. So basically, like you have the right to express yourself in public. Right to express yourself. Express yourself. Right to expression, and like your own opinion. And the government cannot infringe on what you say. It cannot infringe. Um, it cannot like come after you for what you say. So like if I said this government, the U.S. government is trash, it's horrible. Uh, the government cannot retaliate against me for things like political speech. So the second one is the right to bear arms, aka own guns. So the third one is no quartering of soldiers, which means soldiers cannot be stationed in your house. Or, like you don't have to like do that because during before the independence, the British had something called the Quartering Act, which basically allowed British soldiers to stay in your house without your consent. Or like cannot like forcibly live in your house. Something like that. And then you have the Fourth Amendment, which is no unreasonable searches and seizures. I'm spelling seizures wrong. Which is like, say like a cop stops you at a traffic stop, they cannot search your vehicle without any like warrant or anything. Like you can like they can't no one the police or like the police cannot take anything from you or search you without any like warrant or like good probable cause that you committed a crime. It's like you can't just be stopped in the street for like and like search for like no reason basically. So, and the Fifth Amendment is due process, protection against double jeopardy, um, and self-incrimination. I spelled jeopardy wrong. Did I? Geopardy. But- And self-incrimination. Okay, so due process is basically like the right to like be able to defend yourself uh in court, uh and uh double jeopardy is you cannot be charged for the same crime at like the same like you can't be charged for the same crime twice. If you're like found not guilty of something or like it's something is dis okay, that's actually no, I'm just like you can't be charged with the same crime twice. And then no self-incrimination. This is where you get I plead the fifth from, which is basically you don't have to say anything because there's a potential chance that what you say might be used against you in the court of law. Like that's why you hear people. That's why you hear the police say you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used in the court of law. Is that you have the right to not say anything to the police or whatever. And then the Sixth Amendment. The Sixth Amendment guarantees a right to a lawyer or like an attorney's attorney. I'm not gonna spell that. I suck at spelling. The right to a lawyer, fair trial, fair and speedy trial, and uh, yeah, yeah. It's like you have the right to a lawyer to defend yourself in court. That's also the part where police say like, if you don't have, if you can't afford an attorney, like you have the right to an attorney. If you can't afford one, one will be appointed for you, like a lawyer, because they obviously know the law a lot more better than you, and they can provide input in how you can defend yourself. They'll help you defend yourself, and then you have the right to speedy trial, fair and speedy trial, without any like bad things or like biases or whatnot. Seventh is the right to a jury trial, which is like uh jury how do I describe it? Like the jury is like you get it's like the people that that like you try and convince that you're either guilty, that the opposing side is guilty or that you're not guilty. So like they're kind of like the people you're trying to sway to make them believe your side, and then based on the information you give, they'll make a decision based on that. It's like peer review, kind of, I guess you could say, in some sense. And then you have the Eighth Amendment, which is no cruel, unusual punishment. I generally can't spell holy crap. Punishment or unreasonable bail. So one's like nothing like cruel or like unusual that would like I, it's kind of hard to explain. Like it's self-explanatory. No cruel and unusual punishment can be put on you, or unreasonable amount of bail, which is like the money that you have to pay to get out of jail. Or like, yeah. The Eighth Amendment, there's like a lot of debate about what's considered cruel and unusual, like is the death penalty considered, but that's a different topic. And the Ninth Amendment states that just because something is not just because a right is not mentioned uh, in the Constitution, that doesn't mean that uh, it doesn't mean that you don't have the right. Uh, we have this because like anti-federalists fear that like if a right is not explicitly said in the Constitution or like the Bill of Rights, they fear that that would be interpreted as uh only these rights are protected and that other rights that are not mentioned can be like violated. And the 10th Amendment is, like I said in the previous video, all powers not given to the national government is given to the states. Okay, so these are what we call the Bill of Rights, as I said. Okay, so a few other important amendments that you should definitely know that are very, very important. So then we have, so next we have the post-Civil War and Reconstruction. So as we know, the Civil War was fought over the institution of slavery, and the Union won. So the 13th Amendment abolished slavery, made slavery illegal. Uh, the 14th uh, granted citizenship. This is like the birthright citizenship, and gave citizenship to all freed slaves if you're born within the U.S. And then also they established the uh, due process and equal protection clause, where like everyone has equal, the law gets applied equally to everyone within the United States, no regardless of race and whatnot. And then the 15th granted, oh, the 15th granted uh, all males, specifically only males, granted all males the right to vote. So 13th abolished slavery, 14th gave citizenship, and 15th granted suffrage, but only to males, only to guys only, not women yet. Okay, so now we get into another round of um things, some other important amendments. So these amendments will be known as the Progressive Era amendments, and these include uh, the 16th, uh, 16th Amendment, which established that Congress can levy an income tax. It's like why you may ask like why there has to be an amendment about this. It's because in the Constitution, I I believe there is no like uh there's nothing in the Constitution that says Congress can tax your paycheck. There's, I mean, you have tariffs and whatnot, but like those are other things. And that idea, I don't think the idea of an income tax was even a thing. I think the first income tax was levied during the Civil War, by the Union, the the North, to help fund the war. And then after that, I think the Supreme Court did its interpretation of the law and kind of restricted Congress's ability to levy some sort of income tax in only specific circumstances or something like that. And then the 16th Amendment basically codified that. And I believe the 16th Amendment was passed somewhere around around 1900, somewhere. Maybe it's 1912. Okay, but it's a little over 100 years old, basically. And then the 16th, I mean 17th. This is a big change, big change, big change. Senators are now elected by the people. Senators are directly elected by the people. As I said in the previous one, in the previous video, that beforehand, when the Constitution was just ratified, so before, senators were appointed, or like chosen by the state legislature. But like now, we the people can elect our senators to Congress instead of the instead of uh, the state legislature doing it for us. 18th, the 18th Amendment uh, is prohibition, which basically made the sale of alcohol, sale like production of alcohol. I don't, was it production? Okay. But like it basically made alcohol illegal, kind of, because uh, there's a movement in the US to abolish it because they saw alcohol as like a reason for society's a source of society's issues. But the 18th Amendment was overturned. It was overturned by the 21st Amendment. And that's the idea that to undo an amendment, you have to pass another amendment to override it. And then probably one of the most important out of all of these is the 19th Amendment, which finally gave women the right to vote. Uh, and then other ones that you should know that are also important is that, oh, we should talk about the civil rights era. Or we should talk about some of these ones. So some additional ones that are also important. The 24th abolished poll taxes, which is like poll taxes are like um they're like it was a fee required to cast a cast like a vote. It's like a fee. It's like a direct voting fee. And it was basically used by kind of like southern states to restrict oh was it like it was used to like it restricted poorer citizens' ability to participate in elections because they had to pay. pay a fee in order to even vote in the first place. Uh, and then 25th Amendment uh is like established procedures for if the president became unfit for duty. This was after JFK's assassination. Oops. And um, also gave the ability for the vice president to kind of like declare that the president is unfit and cannot effectively carry out his duties, and to which the vice president would kind of assume the powers of the presidency. And then the 26th Amendment lower the voting age, lower the voting age to 18. This is because of Vietnam, because 18-year-olds were getting drafted to go to war, but they didn't have the ability to, they didn't have a say in the government, that they didn't want to go to war. And that was a very big problem because obviously, if you're getting drafted and getting sent to a foreign war and you don't have the ability to even put any input in the government, that's a big problem. So they lowered the voting age to 18. I think it was 21 prior. I forgot. I forgot one. It's the 22nd Amendment. The 22nd Amendment. The 22nd Amendment kind of established two-term limits of the 4 years of president uh, per term. It's like per term there's 4 years, and you can only have two terms, 8 years. But you have a max of 10 years in office. This was because Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR, served 4 terms. Well, he died midway through his fourth term, but he served 4 terms, and people viewed that as a little excessive. Mm, um, okay, after looking at the notes, I should also mention that better clarify on this part of the 14th Amendment. So, uh, like after this amendment was passed, the Supreme Court precedent, Plessy versus Ferguson, if you remember from A Push, Ferguson established the idea of separate but equal, which is why segregation became a thing in the South, because well, it's tough because like people were separated, like separate but equal. Like that's why segregation was a thing, because um, white people and black people were uh in name equal, but they are separated into like two different areas where one status or white people had kind of like had like a status above black people. If that makes sense. I hope I don't get canceled for this. Um, but then uh, another one during the Civil Rights era, well, about 70 years later, I think. So you have Brown versus Board of Education, which overturned Plessy versus Ferguson and said that uh it's is actually illegal for segregation to exist. Okay, so I am going to talk about, I guess, civic responsibilities. So, like, civic responsibilities are things that you can do to participate in like better your state. So you can do things like everyone has the like you have the right to vote, speak freely, whatnot. I don't know. You should probably like or like volunteer volunteer at things, petition petition the government. You can petition the government, make create petitions, lobby and whatnot. That's basically what like, you can kind of do if I can find it in the packet, which I'm currently struggling to find. I swear there's something. Okay, yeah. So like civic rights and responsibility. Yeah, you can right to vote. Make sure you be informed on everything so you can make a good you can create a good opinion and judgment based on the information that you are given. And I guess that's it of the amendments background knowledge, I guess.